Hello and welcome to today's edition of Global Pulse. India has become an unexpected role model for Europe. And it's not just about currying favor, The Economist writes, admittedly with plenty of buns and bad taste. Noting with some self-awareness that aging Europeans often go to retreats in India seeking the reinvigorating properties of a few yoga stretches and gallons of masala chai, the article asks an interesting question. Might this work for political federations as well? The entire team of 27 European Union commissioners is gearing up for a brief passage to India later this month, a rare mass excursion out of their small peninsula. For the Brussels-dwelling Eurocrats on tour, the bustling South Asian vibe on offer will mark a sharp contrast with their home turf, whose sclerotic economy is matched only by its gridlock politics, writes The Economist, referring to the European Union Commission's upcoming visit in India to boost strategic ties. The story, in classic Economist style, makes several cutting observations about India hidden behind its generalizations. The EU's visit will include some earnest entreaties to agree on trade deals, some grumbles about grinding poverty and putrid Delhi smog, it predicts. Europeans have long come to poorer countries with lectures on how backward locals should aspire to be more like them, with a focus on human rights, green rules, and so on. That moralizing tone might usefully be left behind in this case, the story says. For all India's flaws, an attentive European visitor will see much there that should make them envious, and that they might learn from, The Economist says. What makes India an unexpected role model for the Europeans is simply this: economic growth, something that feels as alien in their homeland as bland food might in Mumbai, The Economist writes. The other unattainable draw for Europeans is India's demographics. Europe worries that it'll get poorer as it gets older. Drawing lessons from India's social model could help European policymakers, the story says. As representatives of Federal Europe's top body, the commissioners will look with jealousy at India's governance, the story continues, crowing with unexpected praise. How can a peninsula with 24 official languages, different religions and cuisines ever spawn a coherent collective identity with an army to boot? Europe is wondering. India has already shown the way, The Economist says. Of course, not every facet of Indian politics is worth replicating, the story demos. India suffers from crass majoritarianism and its polity is over-centralized. But while they're here, the Europeans should try to meet Nandan Nilekani more than Modi and learn about his vision for digital infrastructure. A detour to Bangalore and its startup scene would prove enlightening for the EU brigade, The Economist suggests. But more realistically, much of the talk would probably be about geopolitics. India and Europe are both aspiring third wheels in a G2 world. Both fret about being dependent on China as a trade partner and could use each other's help to diversify. Both also worry about America's Trumpian turn, though it is more obviously problematic for the EU, the story says. Plus, India has achieved some measure of the strategic autonomy Europeans now crave. Lots for the Europeans to ponder over biryani, The Economist says. The New York Times continues with its coverage of the quintessential India story, the Kumbh. The Mela has hit its 500 million visitors mark, according to government estimates, and global media is still marveling at its sheer scale. The makeshift metropolis constructed for the event sits at 10,000 acres of land temporarily claimed from the Ganges, whose waters recede at this time of the year. The ephemeral megacity, as Harvard researchers have called it, includes hospitals, pontoon bridges, nearly 70,000 street lamps, thousands of flush toilets, 250 miles of steel plank roads resting on a silty riverbed, and tents running from the modest to the luxurious, the New York Times reports. But what really catches their fascination is the Mela's Lost and Found Center, helping connect those who take a wrong turn with their family and companions. The state and central governments are spending hundreds of millions of dollars to ensure the safety of Kumbh Mela pilgrims, an undertaking whose immense challenges became clear last month when 30 pilgrims died in a stampede as they rushed to bathe in the river, NYT reports. Crucial to the safety effort are the Lost and Found Center and its 10 field offices. They're a place of hope and despair as devotees show up by the thousands every day to report missing persons and sometimes lost objects. Attendees can use the public address system to make their own announcements in their mother tongues, while those who panic and might be scared are consoled by volunteers from nonprofits, the New York Times reports. Once someone reports a person missing, workers feed as many details as they can into a computerized system that uses facial recognition technology. The information is shared with the police and other offices and also announced over the public address system. Those who are found are put up in a hall lined with beds made of cardboard boxes. This year, they were donated by Amazon and feature its logo prominently, the New York Times reports. Meanwhile, Bloomberg reports that India's biggest firm, Tata Consultancy Services Limited, was gaming the American immigration system, and former staffers are willing to prove it. Bloomberg reports that former employees of TCS have filed lawsuits over TCS falsifying organizational charts to make them appear more top-heavy with managers than they really were. The objective was to avoid heightened scrutiny over how TCS was using employment visas, Bloomberg reports. 3 former TCS staffers claimed that the company repeatedly made improper use of special manager-level visas to hire frontline workers who had no management responsibilities. Known as L1As, manager visas are easier to obtain than H1Bs and don't have a minimum pay requirement. One former staffer told Bloomberg that as Trump took office 8 years ago, executives at TCS, an arm of the Indian conglomerate the Tata Group, were trying to make their organizational charts match their visa applications before any federal inspectors showed up on their doorstep, Bloomberg reports. But the anticipated crackdown didn't happen during the first Trump administration. Now, with Elon Musk and other tech executives defending the H-1B program, Trump has changed his rhetoric, reports Bloomberg. That flip-flop has triggered pushback from his MAGA base, pitting his nativist supporters against his newer backers from the tech industry. TCS is India's biggest IT firm by revenue. Like many other Indian outsourcers, TCS provides back-office IT services for its customers, but it also needs client-facing workers in the US. While studies show that immigration has been a net positive for the US economy, Bloomberg points out that the lawsuit suggests TCS has used L1A manager visas in ways that echo Trump's earlier concerns about undercutting American workers. The data, which is previously unreported, shows that the number of L1A approvals the company has received far exceeds the number of managers it disclosed employing in mandatory federal reports to the US Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. It also shows that TCS, which works with some of the largest US tech companies, has obtained far more manager visas than any other employer in recent years. It's unclear how many visas TCS obtained for workers who weren't really managers, but the data shows that USCIS approved more than 90,000 L1A visas from October 2019 through September 2023. IT outsourcing firms, which contract with US employers to handle IT tasks, were the program's heaviest users, but TCS far outpaced its rivals, Bloomberg reports. The firm received upwards of 6,500 approvals, more than the next 7 largest L1A recipients combined. Fabricating job titles is a violation of the Immigration and Nationality Act in the US. TCS does not comment on ongoing litigation, however, and strongly refute these inaccurate allegations by former employees, which have previously been dismissed by multiple courts, TCS told ThePrint, adding that they rigorously adhere to all US laws. In other news, Bloomberg reports that Tesla is hiring in India, a sure sign that it plans to enter the market just days after CEO Elon Musk, met Prime Minister Narendra Modi in the US. Tesla is hiring for 13 roles according to its LinkedIn page. At least 5 of the positions, including service technician and various advisory roles, are available in both Mumbai and Delhi, while the rest of the openings, such as customer engagement manager and delivery operations specialist, were for Mumbai, reports Bloomberg. Tesla and India have been engaged in a cat-and-mouse game for years, with Tesla ultimately staying away over concerns on high import duties. Now, India has reduced basic customs duty of high-end cars priced above $40,000 to 70% from 110% earlier. While India's EV market is still nascent compared to China's, it offers an avenue for Tesla to check slowing sales after it posted its first annual drop in EV sales in over a decade, reports Bloomberg. India's electric car sales neared 100,000 units last year compared to China's 11 million. This is Vandana Menon, and thank you for watching The Print.